It's June 23rd, 2025, and Panasonic has just announced 3 new firmware updates for the S1II, the S1IIE, and the S1R2. There's a ton of features added to the S1R2 that bring it into essentially feature parity with the S1II and the S1IIE, and there's additional features added to the S1II and S1IIE as well. This video is going to be in 3 parts. The first part, we're going to go through all the new features. You can see what is added to each camera. The second part, I'll show you how to install the update using my S1II. And the third part will be showing you how to install the update for the optional paid upgrade to ARRI LogC3, which is added to all 3 cameras. Let's start with what's new in this update. From this first page, you can see that most of the features already existed on the S1II and the S1IIE. So for the S1R2, we are adding HDMI RAW output. That means that you'll be able to record RAW in your Atomos or Blackmagic recorder. Those recorders will require updates, which I don't know if they're being released on the same day. Some might already be out, some might be coming, but the support is there for it. HEIF support is added. HEIF or HEIF support is the new alternative to JPEG. It's a higher efficiency codec. It also allows you to do HDR, which is something that you can do now in these cameras, shooting HDR stills much like your iPhone does. Manual focus ring rotation direction setting. So if you want to alternate the direction that you manually focus your ring, you can do that. Also manual focus ring control ring conversion. That's a bit of a mouthful, but the idea there is that for some lenses, you'll be able to change what the manual focus ring does. If you never use manual focus, why not use that ring for something else? The urban sports autofocus and auto recognition of urban sports has been added to the S1R2. A big one in my book, Bluetooth timecode sync is now available on the S1R2 as well. This is another feature that I will be doing a big video on. I know I said that once before, but it's all planned out. I've just got to sit down and record it. But we now have Bluetooth timecode sync across all of these cameras. Focus stacking has been added to all 3 cameras. This is the feature where the camera will shift focus ever so slightly across a subject and then assemble those all together into a single focus stacked image. So you have everything in focus, but exactly what you want, nothing before and nothing after. You now have direct backup of your SD card or CF Express card to the SSD. This is where you can copy the files from your memory cards over to the SSD in the camera. UVC, which is USB video class support, has been added to the S1R2. That means that you can now plug your S1R2 into the computer and have it show up as a webcam. To go along with HDMI RAW output is the simultaneous internal recording of a proxy file. This means you can output RAW to record on your Atomos or Blackmagic recorder and simultaneously record a proxy file, typically lower resolution or lower bitrate, internally in the camera. Next is DJI wireless control support for the RS4 Mini. This is unfortunately at this time only for the RS4 Mini, but if you've got that, you no longer need a USB cable to control it. It can be controlled over Bluetooth. Added to all 3 cameras are Capture One wireless and wired LAN support. So that's wired or wireless tethering over the network. ARRI LogC3 support added to all 3 cameras. This is an additional purchase. Availability on that will be found on the Panasonic website, but this is an update so that you can now shoot ARRI LogC3 in addition to Vlog in these Panasonic cameras. Specifically for the S1R2, the 8.1K or 7.2K open gate has now been added. That's a 3:2 aspect ratio, shot at 23:976. Of course, this doesn't exist in the S1II or the S1IIE because neither of those are 8K cameras. Finder/monitor switching has been added when connected to the Flow app. That's the new LUMIX Flow app, which we haven't yet explored on this channel, but we'll be doing that soon. Across all 3 cameras, Godox flash support has been added. This is the new guaranteed support for these Godox third-party flashes, mainly because Panasonic has decided to stop development of its own flashes, which I'm sure you'd be surprised to know even existed, but you now will have actual official third-party support for these Godox flashes. I don't have any specifics on what models of flashes are supported yet, but as soon as I get that information, we'll be doing videos on those too. HLG View Assist has been added to the S1R2, so if you are shooting in that HLG HEIF mode, that HDR type mode, then you will have a better viewfinder experience with this. Multiple frame display has been added to all 3 cameras. This is where you can have multiple frame markers on the LCD or in the viewfinder at once. So for example, if you're shooting open gate, you can have 16:9 and 9:16 crop guides in the viewfinder or the LCD while you're shooting. And finally, support for the latest version of the LUMIX Flow app, version 1.1, has been added to the S1R2. Now let's look at how to install the update. First of all, you'll need to download it from the official Panasonic website. To get there, you can go to photojoseph.com/LUMIX update. That will redirect you, or simply Google search for LUMIX Firmware Update Download. Then the top result on Google should be the download page. This is what it looks like. As of the time of this screenshot, the update wasn't actually available, but this is what you're looking for, and you should see your camera listed at the top. Once you've downloaded the file and extracted it to a .bin file, by the way, if the Mac says it can't extract the bin, you can just ignore that. The .bin is what you want. Take a freshly formatted SD card, pop that in your computer, and copy the .bin file to the root level of your SD card. Pop that card back into your camera, open the menu and navigate down to the wrench menu, and then further down to the Others page, and then finally to Firmware Version. From here, you should see the firmware update is available. If it's grayed out, then that means you didn't do something right. It could be that the .bin file is not at the root level. That is the most common problem with this. Or perhaps you copied the .zip file onto the memory card. Make sure it's the .bin and that it's at the root level, the top level. Once you see firmware update available, just press the button to start it, choose yes to start, and let it go. As always, you will want to have a fully charged battery or have the camera on AC power while you're doing this. You do not want the battery to die in the middle of a firmware update. Also, I've had people tell me that according to the official guidelines, you don't actually have to reformat your card before doing the update. That might be true. I don't care. I'm reformatting it. We want to remove any possibility of a problem with the update. Once the update is completed, you can go back into the firmware version and verify that it has updated. And you can see that it has successfully updated, in my case, to version 1.1 for this LUMIX S1 Mark II. Installing ARRI LogC3 is a little bit of an odd process. You're essentially downloading a file from the camera to an SD card, uploading that file to a Panasonic server, entering the special code that you got when you purchased the update. That will then feed you back a new file that you will copy onto the SD card, put back into your camera, and load into the camera. A little bit weird, but that's how it works. It all starts with a web page, for the URL for which is down below, but also you'll get this when you get the update. And that is this Panasonic page, and the update that we're running is the DMW SFU3A. Click on that, and it has the instructions that I'm about to give you here, but here's essentially what we're doing. Within the camera, again with a freshly formatted SD card, you're going to navigate from the wrench menu to the gear menu to activate. Under activate, you'll choose export serial code. Choose the memory card and start that process. Once that's completed, pop out the card and put that into your computer. Then go to this website, click on Choose File, navigate through the LUMIX SD card, open Private, PanaGRP, PAVC, LUMIX, ACTV, and finally you'll find the serial.lst file. Open that and click Submit. Next is to enter the key code that you got when you made the purchase. I'll paste mine in, click Submit again. Now that the new file has been created, I'll save that to the memory card. It's not going to actually download it back to the memory card. You will need to manually move it there. So locate your download and then open the memory card and navigate to the same folder we were just in. So that's Private, PanaGPR, PAVC, LUMIX, ACTV, and there's the old serial.lst file. We're going to now copy the active file next to that one. Eject your memory card. Pop that back into your camera. Open the menu, back into Activate, and choose Import Activation Code. Choose the card that it's on, and start. It says the function's been enabled. Just turn the power off and back on again. And now if I look at my shooting profiles, I'm currently at Vivid, but if I roll through here, I should find somewhere after Vlog, ARRI LogC3. And now you have ARRI LogC3 in your LUMIX camera. So the big question, of course, is should you update to this? It is a paid upgrade. Is it worth it for you? I don't have an answer for you, but Connor McCaskill does. He has created a video comparing the two different formats, and I really encourage you to watch that video next. That is going to be linked at the end of this video, probably right about here somewhere now, so definitely click on that and go check that out. While you're there, be sure to comment on his video and tell him that I said hi.